morning. We're trying to get Commissioner Labrador is vacationing to call in. So we'll start the meeting, and there are a couple things that we've got to skip over if she doesn't show up. But let's call the August 3rd Commissioners meeting to order. If you would join me in a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
She's calling in Ariel from the house phone. She says she can't hear us. So just transfer into this extension, John, and just let her attend this way. Cindy, you know this extension?
Very helpful. Bring your part.
All right. When I
Can't call it. You have to call her.
Well,
You want to start and come back to that, John?
yeah, is there any public comment related to agenda items? If not, there'll be an opportunity at the end to bring up public comment. Hearing none, we're going to skip over old business. We can't approve the minutes of July 6th because I wasn't here, and it would take Sharon and John is here, but Sharon's coming, and we can't approve the July 20th because I was here, but John Christie wasn't. It takes Sharon, and she may or may not show up with us. So we'll skip over the old business and go to new business. Do I hear a motion to approve agenda item 1, both A and B, the agenda and the request for working additional hours in the sheriff's office?
So,
I'll second that. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
aye.
Aye. Item number 2, may I hear a motion to approve the electronic financial transactions A, B, and C?
So moved.
I'll second that. Is there any discussion?
No.
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
May I hear a motion to approve item number 3, the travel authorizations?
So moved.
I'll second that. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Sharon, are you there?
I am here. If wasn't down here, I'd like to know where we are within the meeting.
Well, we're going back now to the item that requires your presence, and that's the approval of the minutes.
The old business.
That's correct. I need a motion to approve the minutes of the July 6th Commissioners meeting. That has to come from Commissioner Christie and you, Sharon.
So moved.
Okay, John moved. Do you second?
Yep.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 I'll abstain because I was not present. The second item under old business, the approval of minutes of the July 20th Commissioners meeting. John Christie wasn't here, Sharon, so it takes a motion and second from us, you and me.
So moved.
I'll second that. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed or abstain?
Abstain.
Motion carries. We're back to number 4, Sharon, under new business. Item 4 is the Monroe County Area Agency on Aging. So I hear a motion to approve the items under item 4A.
So moved.
Aye, so moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Number 5. Do I hear a motion to approve the items under number 5, Monroe County Children and Youth Parts A, B, and C?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion carried. Under item 6, do I hear a motion to approve the items under number 6, A through J?
So moved.
Second.
Under discussion, I would just point out that under item H, the renewal of our health insurance for employees this year saw one raise, and that is a raise in our stop loss amounts by virtue of the usage that stop loss got. Stop loss is what you pay up to a particular amount, and then anything over that amount is picked up by insurance. Because we hit the stop loss this year with one person and 2 others very close, the stop loss part of the premium went up, not enough to influence what we are charging to the employees. So once again, for about the 5th year, our health insurance has remained pretty constant, which is a major miracle in the days of renewing insurance, health insurance specifically. Commissioner Christie or Commissioner Labrador, you have any comments on anything under that?
I'd like to state something about F. It is the Carpel computer system, which allows the sharing of information between the district attorney's office, the public defender's office, probation. It's a information system that all 3 of those entities have access to. So the DA puts up anything, then the public defender is able to see it as well as probation. The other is G, execute the contracts for Ramsey School renovation. As you've been following along at home with the courthouse expansion, in October, we have to move probation and domestic relations up to the Ramsey School as swing space. They'll be there for approximately 15 months. So what we had to do is empty out a section of the courthouse. And the easiest way for that to work was to go to Ramsey. And actually, it was more prudent to go to Ramsey, and then they'll swing back when the completion of the construction is done. The other thing is for Strunk Albert Engineering received a contract to prepare the specifications for work at the fire school burn building. The electrical part of that building has been damaged over the course of its lifetime. We have to rewire it. Unfortunately, we can't use it at this time in the condition that the wiring is in. So the sooner we get this taken care of and out the contract, the better for the firemen so that they can get out and continue the training. That's it, sir.
Just one last comment on item J. Many of the new vendors that are added to the approved list of vendors are related to the ERAP program, the assistance for those who were impacted by COVID to the point where they were fell behind on both either their utility payments or their rental payments. We have expended approximately $12 million out of the money that's been allocated to us, and we anticipate that probably by the end of December, all the money under ERAP 1 first year and ERAP 2 the second year will have been expended. No word yet of whether there will be an ERAP 2A, 3, or something that extends that program. But the way that the money is being expended at this point, that pot of money should be exhausted probably by December, early January of 2023. Any other comments? Hearing none, the motion's been made and seconded. We've had the discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion carries. I hear a motion to approve item 7A under the Monroe County Transportation Authority.
So moved. Second then.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion carries. Under 8, I hear a motion to approve the action under 8A for the redevelopment authority of Monroe County.
So moved.
Second,
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 aye,
Motion carried. Under capital outlay purchases, may I hear a motion to approve the capital outlay purchases, both Part A and Part B, the ratification and the approval?
So moved.
so moved. Oh,
Second.
second. Sorry.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye,
Motion carried. Item 10 is the computer capital purchases. May I hear a motion to approve the computer capital purchases listed under 10A?
So moved.
second,
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 aye,
Motion carried. Commissioner Christie, any miscellaneous?
Good at this time, sir.
Commissioner Lavador, any miscellaneous?
no, but thank you for the call in, I appreciate that.
You can get back to the beach very shortly. Before we go to public comments, let me just point out, we were to have an election board meeting that was scheduled for 10:30 a.m. That's been rescheduled until the 16th of August. The elections staff are at their annual conference and cannot be here and there at the same time. Any public comment?
I'd actually like to back up to H real quick, under 6H. Just out of my curiosity, those numbers under all the healthcare plans, like the $5.50 per member, 10.60 per member, what do they actually represent? Is that like the cost you guys are seeing as an increase?
No, those are those numbers haven't changed from last year. The only number that's changed is the payment that I referenced earlier, the payment over which the insurance
Yeah.
company picks up.
So what I'm getting at is, what is that like? So the Highmark HRA, $5.15 per member per month. Is that like a-
I can interject. These are administrative costs. In other words, we pay Highmark, Geisinger, United Concordia, DVA, SWIFT. That's for them to manage the program.
manage the benefits?
We self-insure, so
Gotcha.
you go to the doctor, the hospital, we're getting the bill.
Yeah, yeah.
This is just to administer all
For them
this.
to manage the actual.
That's all it is.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, I was just curious. And then under,
That you only got one comment, so you had yours.
that's mine?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I didn't see that listed anywhere.
That's in the fine print.
It is. Under the new vendors, we go all the way down to the last one, MCCF, the Triton Training Group. What is that? Being out there at the facility, I have no idea what Triton Training is.
You know, Greg,
I have to pull the file.
we'll have to get
Just
that
out of
for you.
curiosity.
Yeah, I'll pull the file.
And then other public comment, I got, last time, I'm not sure last week we spoke, we got to look into something. So I was wondering where we're at with that. I actually brought physical copies for each commissioner of all the emails that we have sent to the commissioners of the prison board that we've gotten no answer, no responses to, in case you guys haven't gotten the email for some reason. So at some point, I would like to hand you guys these copies, just so I know for my personal sake you have them. And I was just wondering where we were at with where we left off with the issues there. If I may back up real quick, I had one other taxpayer business. There was a report done, and I might have the name wrong. It was called the Archer Report or Archer Study. The group that came in and did a report or a study.
Correct.
What is the process for somebody to get a copy of that and take a look at it?
First of all, it does not, the Archer report is what the county uses to try to ascertain what money should be paid for particular jobs throughout the county. But it does not include any of the unionized employees. I mean, those are, as you well know, set by
Whatever we get to.
negotiations, et cetera.
Gotcha. But still, how does somebody get a copy of it? Take a look at it. The actual report, how does somebody get a copy of it? Take a look at it.
The report is basically translated into the dollar figures that are paid for particular grades, like a grade 1, step 2, 3, 4, et cetera?
Yeah, I totally understand what the report translates into. I'm asking, how does somebody get a copy of it to see it?
By going to the HR office.
Bonnie?
Yep.
We'll talk to Bonnie about it? Okay. Like I said, just where we at with the jail, with everything we talked about, with the security issues for us, and the safety, staffing, we've still gotten no response from you guys. We attempted to talk to the warden at the last meeting, to discuss. As soon as the topics came up, he stormed out of the meeting and said, we're not discussing this. We're still left sitting in the blind. Like I said, I'm going to physically hand you guys copies of all these emails, multiple emails from staff about their concerns going back 2 years through today, and we've gotten nothing. And, like I said, I was here last week. We were told we would hear something. You guys would look into it. We're here again. We've got no response from the warden. We got no response from you guys. We're still working under staff shortages. We're still working without modifying operations. We're still working with our contract completely being violated. I've presented ideas to the warden. The last meeting discussed, he referenced, there's 57 call-offs in a week, a high number. But that directly correlates to how much we're being mandated and how tired people are and how overworked they are. So you're going to see an increase in sick time. I've run numbers by him where why don't we do a sick time buyback? It saves the county money. If I call off, they're paying me $260 for the day, but they have to mandate somebody to stay at time and a half, which is $450. You're paying $600 to cover one position. And with Hampton County, Lehigh County, they pay $1 an hour bonus if people use no sick time. I've run the figures based on how much sick time we use. If we pay people $250, $3 an hour to not call off for their 40-hour work week, saves the county anywhere between $7,000 and $15,000 a week. If half the people we call off don't call off, I've asked the warden, why don't we try that on a temporary basis for 2 weeks, a month, just to see if there's a reduction in sick time, save the taxpayers money, which on the flip side of that protects us more because then we'll have more people in the building. There's just no steps being taken other than these truncated classes that are short in 2 weeks, which we're obviously seeing aren't working out too well. We get 100 applicants, we go down to 5, and now we're down to 2 in the most recent class. You guys had some numbers that were off. I got the most recent roster right here. We're still sitting at 85 active duty officers. We're sitting at 96 out of 122 total officers. I'll give you the roster. We're obviously dealing with the shortage, but we still need steps to be taken in the meantime. And I'm just looking at where you guys are at with that.
I guess the easiest way to say it is it's still under discussion, Mr. Kubik. But I would ask you, in the future, when you send us one of these things that has chapter and verse of what, also send it to the warden. Who's able, he hasn't received, most of these that he's received have come through the ones that have been sent to us that are then forwarded.
No, they go to him. I make sure, if you want me to print those to show you that he's again providing you false information, like I said in the last meeting, I'll show you where every email that I send you guys, I send it to my business agent and the deputy wardens and the warden first. And when I get no response, then I forward it to you guys, Mr. Morris, the sheriff, the president, judge, everybody who's part of that management of the jail. Because I get no response from you, that's the only time I actually reach out to you guys, is if I'm getting nothing from our administrators first, because we have a chain of command. So I choose to follow it. We get no response. So now it comes to you guys, which, like I said, I'm going to hand you all the packets. And that's literally half of the emails I have from staff. But I actually ran out of printing ink last night at 10 o'clock at night. It wasn't going to wake him up to go to Walmart to get more in. But I make sure that I follow the chain of command and I get nothing. So, like I said, we attempted to talk to Gary on Wednesday to meet and discuss. He was present. Conversation was completely fine. He stormed out, made some false accusations about the conversation going south, my tone, this and that, which was completely false. People were there to say he just didn't want to have the conversation. He openly said, "I'm not discussing any of this with you guys." He got up and stormed out. Now we're here again trying to discuss it with you guys. It's like I get the conversation is still ongoing. It's been 2 weeks. I mean, you guys have had 2 weeks to look into something. So for the past 2 weeks, while you guys are looking into stuff, I know you're busy, I know you got a lot going on, but we're going to work every day. And my life, again, is being contracts being violated. We don't have enough staff, not modifying operations. We have a CBA for a reason that says specifically I can only be mandated so many times. And we're just blowing right past it. I brought a whole book of new grievances since 2 weeks. I've been here. I have 40 more in the last 2 weeks. They're just openly violating the contract, telling us you got to do too much work. Doesn't matter if you're tired. Writing us up if we say we're too tired and go home. And we're not running safe while everybody on the other side of those prison walls goes home after 8 hours and says, yeah, we'll discuss it for another 2 weeks. But another 2 weeks doesn't suffice when something bad happens. You guys don't understand, like, it's going to be bad when I don't go home to my child because you guys are taking 2 weeks to figure something out. It's just, I don't understand how it's not acceptable. You guys don't comprehend that. We're not just employees. We're not just COs. We're mothers, brothers, fathers, sisters, daughters, cousins, uncles, grandparents. And we just get put at risk because nobody wants to have this conversation. Nobody wants to do anything about it. It's just not acceptable. Something has to change. Gary Heidel's not changing it. You guys oversee Gary Heidel at the facility. You guys need to make him change it. There's policies for a reason. There's so much going on at that jail that they even refuse to put policies out. We're running modified units that have B status on it, right? Bravo status, administrative segregation because of their charges and violence. They're now mixed with I status, which is a medical unit. Policy says only 6 of those people can come out of their room for a reason. Joe McCoy just told me 2 weeks ago there's 18 people on that unit. Let them all out at once. Who cares? We need to get wrecked on. I asked him to put that in a policy that says that because when something goes wrong, one of those inmates beats another inmate to death and their family finds out, the county's getting sued because we violated our own policy. And they're going to turn around and blame it right on me and say, why did you violate that policy? There's so much going on in that jail that is outside of the policies in Title 37. It's not acceptable anymore. And again, you sit back and say, we'll continue discussing it. But in the meantime, how difficult is it for you guys to tell Gary Heidel when your staffing numbers drop below a certain point, modify the jail operations to protect these officers? The last meeting I saw you said keeping inmates in their cells is not something we can do. That is exactly what we do. We're jail. Title 37 allows you to not give them recreation, to keep them locked in their cells for security-based reasons at any given time. We just did it last week when CERT came in the building to do searches. We kept the entire building locked down for 3/4 of the day. So we can do it to do searches, but we can't do it to ensure that I'm going home to my child safely because we're supposed to have 27 people in the building, but we have 15. It doesn't make sense. That's not acceptable. To hear we can't keep people in their cells because Title 37 100% allows you to. There's nothing that says you can't. So why is this not happening?
Mr. Kuby, the best I can tell you is we continue discussions and do everything we can to hire people to supplement the people that are there.
I hear the hiring. We heard that 2 weeks ago. Hiring takes time. We have 2 people starting a new class. We have 85 people doing the work of 122. I'll keep beating that point. What are we doing until the staff numbers are high enough to make sure me and the other coworkers go home safe to my children at night? What is being done to ensure that? What I'm asking you today, when we leave here, why can you not pick the phone up, call Gary Heidel, and say, hey, when your numbers are below the minimum where they're supposed to be, modify operations to ensure the safety of not only the staff, but the inmates. By not doing that, when something bad happens to not only me, but to an inmate, somebody's going to sue this county, and it's a waste of taxpayer money. When all we have to do is just modify the operations to ensure the safety. It costs nobody $1. It benefits the inmates, it benefits us, and it hurts nothing. Why can that not happen other than we're going to keep trying to hire people? Why can that not happen today, right now? When I go to work tomorrow, it's in place.
I personally do not have the expertise of when Title 37 can be enacted and not.
It's not enacted. Title 37 is
Right, but
governance from the state that governs
correct,
county jails.
correct.
I have it in a binder, I'll bring it in, I'm sure you guys should have it. Read through it. There's nothing in there to enact. It just gives the guidelines of how counties should run their prisons, but it actually allows every county to run the prison they see fit as long as they see in those guidelines. That's it. In those guidelines, at any given time, for security reasons, the entire prison can just be shut down. How is it not a security reason when we're supposed to have 27 people, as per Title 37, that's our numbers, to run safe, and we're down to 15? I'm not even asking for the entire jail to be locked down completely and keep everybody in their cells, like you said. I'm asking for modified operations where they come out at 2 hours at a time, only 8 inmates at a time, and they rotate. We did that all through COVID for like an entire year. We did it for COVID. Why can we not do it to ensure our safety?
The mandating of overtime, which you address, is that in your opinion, is that a violation of the contract?
100%. I'll hand you the contract and read it right now. Contract specifically says after an officer does 2 doubles, they have to have 23 hours off before they do the next double. They're being mandated for 3 17-hour doubles in a row. That 100% violates the contract.
And in the meeting that you had last week, did your business agent bring that up?
Yes, we did, and the warden stormed out, didn't want to discuss it. And the contract specifically says no officer shall do more than 5 doubles per pay period under any circumstance. It doesn't have any language that says in an emergency, because we have language that says I can be mandated back-to-back 2 doubles in a row in an emergency. Staff shortage is an emergency. You have to operate the jail, so you can do that. I can be hit on my Friday. In an emergency, it says that. Yes, that's allowed as per the CBA. My CBA says I am not allowed to do more than 5 doubles per pay period. And people are being mandated for 6, 7, and 8. That is 100% outside the contract. It is not allowed at all. And at the same time, while you're mandating him for his 8th double in a pay period, I'll already have my 5 in. I'll put my hand up and say, hey, instead of him doing his 8th, I'll stay and do my 6th. And we're getting told absolutely not, because your contract says you're not allowed. But you're making him stay to do 8. It's completely insane. It makes there's no logic behind it. And aside from all that, why are we not modifying operations to ensure safety, to protect the county from lawsuits? Because if something happens to me while we're running in these conditions, and I don't go home to him, and I die, the county's getting sued. If something happens to an inmate and he gets raped or beaten, and we weren't running the jail safely, the county's getting sued. Our taxpayer dollars are getting wasted. When if we took some steps to modify the operations, at least you guys are protected. And we're protected as the officers to say, hey, we did something to try to prevent this from happening. Instead, we're sitting here doing nothing other than telling us you guys got to work outside your contract and it doesn't matter how tired you are. But we're trying to hire people. But in the meantime, you guys are just still screwed. It's not acceptable. It's not. And to hear we're going to take another 2 weeks and discuss it again. And then I got to come here on my day off again to have the same discussion we had 2 weeks ago. It's extremely frustrating. There's no logic behind why these things cannot be implemented today.
Let me just say that we have the utmost confidence in the warden and the deputy wardens out there. And it's their call as to when things reach a point where the jail needs to be locked down.
I'm not asking for the jail to be locked down. You keep saying that. I'm asking
No,
for
you keep-
modified operations.
Right.
There's
For
a
that.
big difference. That's a huge difference. You guys don't understand the way the jail works. That is a huge difference to say a lockdown or modified operations. Those are 2 totally different things under Title 37. Those are 2 totally different things when it comes to the reports that the warden has to send to the state. And I'm glad that you guys have the utmost confidence in the warden. In this packet I'm giving you are no confidence vote from all the officers in jail. 98% of the people voted they have no confidence in the way these wardens are running this facility. We're the ones who are behind those walls that see it every day. You guys don't. We're in the process of doing another no confidence vote for our safety. I'm at 100% respondents so far that have no confidence in the way this jail is being run for our safety. You guys can have all the confidence you want sitting behind the desks here. We're the ones behind these walls bringing them to you because the warden is not taking steps to do anything. Prison board oversees the jail. It's not just the warden. Full gravity of the situation falls on everybody who's on the prison board, not just the wardens. That's why we're here. So I'm asking again, Why are these steps not being taken to ensure the staff and inmate safety? Because I asked the warden on Wednesday and he stormed out of the meeting, wouldn't talk about it. So what do I do with that point? What steps should you give me advice on what I should be doing right now? Other than going to work and working 3 17-hour days in a row under unsafe conditions, under unstaffed units, when I'm working a unit with 26 double murderers and rapists, when I don't have enough people to respond to help me. What steps should I be taking to fix this? Because I've gone to the wardens, I've gone to you guys, I've gone to the news. I'm pleading for something to protect these people, and I get told, we'll discuss it for another 2 weeks and get back to you.
Unfortunately, it could be longer than 2 weeks.
How is that acceptable? Please do me a favor and look my child in the face. Look at this man right here. Tell my child his daddy's not safe at work, and I'm not taking steps to protect him, and I'm sorry if he doesn't come home this week.
Your daddy says he's not safe at work.
I'm not safe at work. That's what we're telling you. Look him in the face and tell him you will not take steps to protect me that you can take today. Please,
Please what?
look him in the face and tell him you are either going to take steps to protect me, not discuss it for 2 weeks or longer. Today, I will enact steps to make sure your father is coming home safe every day, or the opposite, that I will not enact steps today to ensure he's coming home safe to you. That's one of the two options. It's not we'll discuss it for 2 weeks.
What's your son's name?
Giovanni.
Giovanni, your father and the warden at the correctional facility have a difference of opinion. Your father believes he is not in a safe working environment, and the warden, who is sort of his boss, believes that it is a safe working condition and that we're trying to hire more staff.
But let's hear from somebody other than his father, other than me and the warden have a difference. Ask him, or ask Carl, who was there for 34 years, if they believe we are working under safe conditions. I'll stop talking.
I'm Christopher Polnask. I've been employed at the jail for 17 years. Over the course of COVID, over the 17 years, we've seen a lot of changes. Through COVID, we've seen changes that none of us could foresee. Created staff shortages that obviously can't be prepared for. Outside of the realm of COVID now, with the way things are, the operations at the jail have not changed since COVID has started. What we're expected to do in the jail has increased as far as inmates don't come here for court anymore. Our duties at the jail have changed. Problem is our numbers are down lower than they have been when we had COVID. Now we were low in COVID because officers were out because of COVID. But now we just can't find officers to work. And the officers that are working are doing a splendid job. You'll hear numbers that 51 people called out. But you got guys that are working 17-hour shifts time and time again that are not going home to their families, that aren't even able to go shopping. You got kids that are 13, 14-year-olds being left at home for 3 days in a row, not seeing their mom, dad, and it's becoming normal. These guys, we're lucky on day shifts. We really are, because it doesn't affect us as much as the other shifts. And we're day shift guys. Our midnight shift guys, they couldn't even come to these meetings because any minute that they have outside of that jail isn't going to be to come see you guys. It's going to be to take care of the things they have to do at home and to see their families. So what Don's doing here is he's an advocate for the officers, and we are unsafe. We run so short so often on day shift. Now we feel the brunt of the safety issues because you have our midnight shift guys, who is the smallest shift in the building, who is extremely understaffed, manning the biggest shift in the building that takes care of all of the movement. They're up all day. The inmates are up all day. They're out of their cells. You have court movement. You have lawyer visits. You have medical. The jail is constantly being run during the day with the least amount of officers taking care of it now because we are short. So when we're supposed to have 27 officers during the day, there's times that we run with 19. You're talking 8 positions are not in the building. Now that is being taken from somewhere. There's a reason we have a minimum number of day shift officers. It's to operate the jail under normal circumstances. Like I said, since COVID, our responsibilities have actually increased. The jobs that the sheriff's deputies usually do as far as taking the inmates out and bringing them to court, our officers in the jail are actually doing that now because we take care of, I'd say 80% of the court inside the jail via Zoom or television. With that being said, now you're putting inmates in a room this big, maybe 30 inmates that have issues with each other. They might be codependents. You have a B guy with a C guy, a murderer, a rapist, a guy here for a DUI, and they're being placed in the same room with absolutely no security for them because we don't have the means like the deputies and sheriffs do when they come to court and they're handcuffed and they're sitting side by side with the sheriff's deputy close by. We don't have that manpower. Now you have transports that are being brought out 2-3 at a day that take 2 officers to go do these transports. That's 6 officers out of the building doing transports. That aren't necessarily emergency transports. You and I know that you go to the doctor, these inmates have the ability to go to the doctor more frequently than we do. But when they go to the doctor, it takes 2 of us to take him to the doctor. You're taking those 2 officers out of the building, but we don't have that manpower either. On top of everything else that we have, but I'm telling you, there's days that we run 8, 9 people short in a building that is designed to have that many officers to take care of the safety of the inmates. We're not, us ourselves is one thing, but the inmates, we're there to protect the inmates. Now, I know other jails, they have modifications where they're locked down 22 hours a day, and that's just normal. That's not because of COVID. That's not because of short staffing. That's just how they run their jails because it makes sense. If you're out of their cell and they get 2 hours out of their cell at a time, that's because they have 72 inmates in the unit. And if you take 8 out at a time, you could rotate that schedule throughout the day, and you're only dealing with 8 inmates at a time on a unit. Now, if those 8 inmates decide to have a ruckus or a melee, us responding is much easier to take care of 8 inmates as opposed to 64 or 72 at this point. Now, again, with the short staffing, if there's a rover call or an emergency situation on a unit, and you only have 2 rovers to respond, and you may have 12, 15 guys involved in a physical altercation, well, our hands are tied behind our back. On a normal day back in the day, you have 8, 9, 10 guys respond because those positions are able to be pulled for emergency. And they could respond from central control or F unit or the intake area or central booking or the medical rover or this rover. And for the means of a 1099 or emergency call or an officer being assaulted, can respond. You know, not too long ago, one of the units were taken over by inmates. That actually happened. Had that happened today, we wouldn't have anybody respond to that. At least they had staff back then. So when he's saying we're at a security crisis for us, it is a security crisis for us. Like I said, I've been there 17 years and I've seen a lot of changes. We've worked under certain circumstances and stressful situations. Every day is a stressful situation. Every day you look in briefing and you see 12 officers and you're hoping that there was enough to mandate on the night before that could help us get through this day. So it is safe. And I know Warden Heidel will give you his spiel on it's safe. It's not safe. And we could, we show up in this number, we could flood this room with officers. But I think it would be very intimidating to you to hear the same thing from 40 officers, because it could happen. We could make it happen. And maybe next time we will, because he showed up last week, I'm showing up, here's a retired officer for 30 plus years of corrections that just left. It's not safe. And if you want to ask anybody, ask this guy, 30 plus years and over the course of the last 2 or 3, how dangerous it's been. And it's drastically, very, very dangerous. And I would wish that somebody would say something. I was in the meeting and his tone that he used today was no different than it was with the board. And again, maybe it's a little loud because this is 2 years of not being answered. Nobody's answering. So it's frustrating. But as a warden, you should be able to sit on that other side of the desk and be able to take the criticism that is coming to you and not storm out of the room with your 2 deputy wardens and just leave us with an HR rep and nothing is being handled. So here we are today, like on my day off on my kids after being at the jail for 70 hours of the past course of the week. Here I am talking to you guys because I was at last week's meeting and it went nowhere. So the confidence that you have in him, I'm proud and glad that you have it because it's not there for us. So, anything that you guys could do, I appreciate. I appreciate you staying here as long as you did because this is one that we got from the warden last week. So it's a safety concern, gentlemen. Like, ladies, it's bad. It's very dangerous, and it is going to take something bad to happen where somebody gets sued, and that's going to come down on us. Like, we are all taxpayers here. I live in this town. I pay taxes, and we're going to feel the brunt of that coming to us. And luckily, thankfully, knock on wood, it hasn't happened over the course of the 2 years or 2+ years, but it can happen. It's a reality. So, I don't know what else to say.
Well, I can tell you that once again, at the upcoming prison board meeting, you've got the people who typically attend the prison board meeting in this room. We've heard what you've said, and the discussion will continue with Warden Idle.
I hope so. For the sake of, I mean, really everybody, but I really do appreciate it. I'd like to say just a little brief something if I may.
Sure.
Well, my name's Carl Leeson. I'm a retired county road team. I was in a facility for about 34 years. I came from the old jail. I've been through a lot of administrations, a lot of commissioners, just a lot of things in general. And these guys, I got to feel for them because I couldn't do the job today now that they're doing. You know, I think that's a good time for me. But I think overall, honestly speaking, I've dealt with the present administration, one before that, with all of them. And I think the health of the facility is in a serious decline. I mean, I know sometimes you can't do anything about shortages and this and that and everything else. But, you know, you don't always need unions and attorneys and this and that, you know, to talk about your indifferences. You know what I mean? It's just like always is such a division. Yeah, I've experienced it a lot myself. You know, I've experienced with the administration some of the things these guys are saying today. They're not all mistruths here. You know what I mean? And I'm just saying this from the outside because I still feel after all of that, I'm still a part of these guys. I was part of it during negotiations. I'd like to see it carry on. I'd like to have left the place in a good note and feel good about my situation. And that's why I still hang out. You know, that's why I still come here. That's why I still watch. You know what I mean? I try to say things now and then to people there to try to help out. But there's some things I could probably say to you that I probably wouldn't say in a public forum because I don't know how accurate some of it might be or whether somebody would want to hear it or not. But if you guys ever want to hear something from me about what goes on, and you want to talk to me in private or something, give you my phone number. I'll talk to you anytime. I'm not going to lie to you. It's on you. You know, but these guys are trying. It doesn't always sound good or sound right or a lot of indifferences, but they are trying. And there are issues, and they do need to be worked out. And you don't have to wait for, you know, the attorney Heimbach to talk to him or talk to them. Why couldn't there be an open discussion with people? I was like one of the most open people there. You know, if you wanted to talk to me, I'll tell you things. You know what I mean? So, but I'm just here to try to help support these guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Carl. Mr. Kubik, the Triton Training is a guy that services weapons in the armory, the firm that does. Anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Thank you.